So, you just bought a brand new airsoft gun and you're looking to customize it to make it your own. However, which attachments should you buy? What's going to be a gimmick and what's going to actually help you out? Taking a quick look on any airsoft retailer's website is going to reveal that there are hundreds, if not thousands of different accessories out there for your airsoft gun that you can put on it externally. So in today's video, I want to take you guys on a little bit of a guide discussing what attachments I think that you should be picking up for your airsoft guns to make you the most effective and get the most bang for your buck. What's up, Airsofters? My name is Lane and welcome back to the BB Warrior. We're here to help you have a better time both on and off the airsofting field through our educational content. And if you enjoy videos like these, we'd love it if you joined our community by hitting that subscribe button down below for new videos every Friday here on the channel. So the first attachment that I always recommend when picking out a new airsoft gun is getting a nice high quality red dot sight. Now, the style and the aesthetics of it don't matter. What you're going to want to be looking for is the quality of the dot. This is one of those things that I'm definitely a believer that you get what you pay for, and if you cheap out on your red dot sight, you're not going to be very happy with it. So the reason why I almost always recommend getting a red dot sight for an airsoft build is because it's just going to greatly make it easier to acquire targets, especially in situations where you have to be quick about it. Like, for example, close quarter situations. If you're in a close quarter situation, it's going to be much easier to aim with a red dot sight, especially if it's in the dark versus your standard iron sights or using no sights at all, which I've seen some players do out there. So for personal recommendations, if you have a little bit more money, I like to always recommend going with like an entry-level sight for a real firearm. So there are plenty of companies out there that are in this range. You have companies like Bushnell, Primary Arms is the brand that I personally use, and you have another company like Vortex, for example. However, if you don't want to be spending that money, which typically starts at about that $75 to $100 and works your way up, I would definitely recommend in the airsoft category of red dot sights. GMP makes excellent red dot sights in my experience, as well as NC Star. Now, while NC Star is very affordable, they do have a great warranty, and their products aren't very bad for their price point. So again, I almost always recommend getting some sort of red dot or optic for an airsoft gun. It's just going to make your life a whole lot more easy when you go to get into engagements. When you have to engage multiple targets at once or your target's moving, you're just going to be able to see what you're shooting at better than with using your standard iron sights. So the next thing that you may want to look at picking up for your airsoft gun is some sort of foregrip. Some guns, especially if you get a longer one, can be a little bit unwieldy, and it can get kind of uncomfortable holding them, looking down your sights for a long period of time. Especially if you are a younger player, this can be kind of a concerning thing, and you always want to be keeping your gun up, because if someone comes in front of you and you don't have your barrel up and they do, chances are you're going to be that guy that's walking back to the respawn point. So I almost always like to recommend using some sort of foregrip. I just find it to be more comfortable myself, and there are a ton of different options out there. There are long ones, short ones, angled ones. Really, this is one of those things that I can't give a personal recommendation on because everyone likes something different. So I definitely recommend heading down to your local pro shop if that is an option for you. Just trying out a bunch of different styles. Typically, I like to use the broom handle style, where it's just a nice vertical foregrip on longer guns, which have more than like a 10-inch barrel. However, any sort of SMG or shorter barreled rifle, I like to go with something that is a little bit angled. There are great products out there. There's a ton of different angled foregrips out there, and while they don't really change the patterns of handling for airsoft guns, I think that they are going to help you out and just make the gun, a little bit more controllable, if not a little bit more comfortable to hold for extended periods of time. Now, another product that I think that all players should consider picking up for their airsoft gun is some sort of flashlight. Now, admittedly, this is going to be more helpful if you're going to indoor airsoft arenas. So the reason why I like to recommend picking up a flashlight is just increased visibility, and you're able to kind of get that startle factor up against your enemy. If you peek a corner and you see a guy and you shine that light, it's going to distract the crap out of that guy, and he's not going to be able to accurately put shots down if used correctly. So I like to recommend flashlights because they can just be a force multiplier if you're being very violent and being very aggressive in your actions on the airsofting field. I think it's just going to amplify that and really kind of scare the crap out of your opponents, especially if you're going up against younger players to kind of stereotype there real quick, but I think that having a flashlight is monumental to success in low light situations, as well as just when you're able to be in close quarter situations up against the enemy. Now, is a flashlight going to be very helpful on a 90-degree sunny day in the middle of June? Probably not, in my personal experience, unless you're going into a building that doesn't have lighting. However, you just have to think about where am I playing and what would be useful for what I am doing, because every field is different, and that's going to call for different products that you are going to need. Just like this next product that I want to talk about. I like to always recommend getting a nice, sturdy sling for airsoft players. Now, this is something that I think is more useful for outdoor fields, especially fields where we're going to be spending a lot of time outdoors. However, there are advantages to picking up slings for indoor airsoft as well. So my personal recommendation for players is 2-point slings. I find them to be the most comfortable, especially over long periods of time, and there are just more options out there on the market that are good in my personal opinion. So for 2-point slings, my favorite that I like to recommend to people is the Viking Tactics wide padded sling. It's got a lot of advantages over 2-point slings on the market, and I've actually done a full review about this, as well as talking about how I like to set up my sling for airsoft. If you'd like to watch that video after this one, keep in mind you can click on the card in the upper right hand corner to watch that video. However, 1-point slings are better for indoor and CQC in my opinion, because it's better to switch to the offhand, or it makes it easier, I should say. So it's one of those things you have to weigh, how advantage is this going to be to me in my play style and the places that I am going to play. Again, I like 2-point slings because I play a lot of outdoor and I'm going to be handling my airsoft gun a lot, and I don't want to constantly be holding the weight up of that, or if I have to move some sort of objective with both my hands, I don't want to have to set my gun down, or if I have to draw my sidearm, you know, I can let my rifle rest while I pull out my handgun. So with all of these recommendations, guys, think about where you're playing, because there are some things in my, for this type of games I go to that might not be applicable for the type of games that you go to or the capabilities that you have. Like, for example, if you don't have night vision, there isn't much of a reason to have an IR laser unless you have a bunch of other guys with night vision and you're that sole guy that couldn't afford it because your mom wouldn't pay for it. So just think about that. There are certain things that are going to be needed for certain situations, and there are some that definitely aren't going to be needed. Like, visible lasers are one of those things that I think are rarely needed in airsoft, and their actual useful purpose is something that most airsofters will never be able to encounter because they don't have the capabilities within their squad or their personal gameplay that allows them to use something like a visible laser appropriately. Anyways, guys, that is my recommendations for airsoft attachments for your airsoft gun. To recap, I think one of the most important things that you can buy is a high-quality red dot sight, followed by a comfortable foregrip just to make weapon manipulation and handling a little bit easier. And then finally, depending on your situation, I like to recommend a flashlight as well as a good, sturdy sling for any airsoft gun out there. So I want to know, what type of attachments do you deem necessary, and what do you like to run on your own personal airsoft gun? Like I said at the beginning of the video, with all the different attachments and stocks and handguards and all that other nonsense that's out there, it can be pretty quick to kind of, go overboard and get into a way more expensive build than it needs to be. While aesthetics do matter, I'm talking about like pure usage here, like what makes your gun, I don't want to say better, but better for the situations that you find yourself in. Make sure to let me know down in those comments below. I'd definitely like to hear what you guys out there are using on the airsofting field. But like I said, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for staying until the end. If this was your first time here and you enjoyed a video like this, well, I'd love it if you joined our community by hitting that subscribe button down below. While you're at it, make sure to hit the bell icon next to it for more videos just like this one every single Friday here on the channel. Make sure to check me out on social media. Links will be down in the description below to where you can check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But this has been Lane from the BB Warrior talking about attachments for airsoft, and I will see you all next time.